So welcome back to the SWAU's official channel. I'm Bryan, your host, and this is a conversation with the Stars series. And what a star we've got for you. She is a two-time Olympic swimmer, but we're not talking about swimming today. We're talking about an awesome, absolute awesome career in some amazing shows. And we're going to get the lowdown on Iceland as well. It's Ragga Ragnars. Welcome to the show, my love.
Thank you so much.
And before we talk about your career, I want to find out, because I've never spoken to someone from Iceland, and it's one thing that's always intrigued me is elves.
Oh, yes.
And I watched a film with Will Ferrell, and which was based on Iceland. I don't know if that's a good thing for Iceland or a bad thing. I don't know what Icelandic people think of that movie, if they just think, it's not a good portrayal.
No, I mean, it's all in good fun because it's such a, humorous and funny movie. It's about Eurovision, and it feels like that's kind of the way that Eurovision is. It gets all kind of crazy and people get so wrapped up in it. The elves, Icelandic people, we know the elves pretty well. And I think they made a good portrayal of how we hope that they get treated when you're here in Iceland, because the elves are good.
and I think it's really sweet seeing all the little houses that have been built for them and stuff like that. But it goes back quite a long way, the history of the elves and the protection and everything like that. It just sounds magical, and I've always wanted to come to Iceland. It's one of those places that you see so many amazing films being filmed there, and the scenery is just breathtaking. It really is. But let's talk about your introduction to acting, because you were once an Olympic swimmer. What made you go from a competitive sport to another competitive sport, I suppose, which is acting?
I always wanted to be an actress, and ever since I can remember. And I really enjoyed swimming, and I loved it. And I knew that it wasn't going to be a lifelong career in the pool. I mean, every competitive athlete knows that there is a time limit, especially with sports like swimming. I had my son in 2013, so I was training for the Olympics in London when I got pregnant, and I didn't go to the London Olympics. And, as a mother and, having had carried my child for 9 months, it wasn't time to get back in the pool and start trying again, although a lot of swimmers have done that, and it's very, admirable if you can, but I couldn't do that. So that was the time for me to start my other dream, which was always acting. And I went to California to study acting, and my son was, I think, 1 year old when we went over there. And that's when I started this other competitive area.
It certainly is competitive. It really, really is. And I admire anyone that goes into this industry, because it is very, I suppose, up and down a lot of the times. And security is a big thing. But when you decided that you wanted to take this journey, did you have a plan in place in what you wanted to achieve, like who you wanted to work with or be directed by?
Well, the only thing I had planned was to be on Vikings. That was the only thing that I may have actually planned it the same way as I planned going to the Olympics. I was like, I'm going to be there. That's the Olympics. I'm going to go swim at the Olympics. And then I saw Vikings for the first time, and I thought, that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be on Vikings, because that's where I feel like all of my strengths can actually shine, because I'm really tall. I am a former swimmer, so I've got broad shoulders and I've got a strong build, we'll say. And I had gone on a bunch of auditions, and I had been cast for things and then sent home because I was too tall. And it was starting to be a little bit, discouraging, but I thought, okay, Vikings, it was my favorite show for starters, and I thought they're not going to send me home because I'm tall from Vikings
No,
once I
no.
get on it. So that was kind of my plan. I really, really loved the show. I was watching it when I had my newborn, when my son was a baby. And I just remember being in awe of the show and thinking, as an actress, that's where I want to be. And it took me a few years to manifest that dream, but it eventually happened.
And talking about manifesting, I suppose being an athlete, manifesting's a big part of that because you're seeing that end goal. So do you feel that being this athlete as you was at the level that you was has helped you actually, get to where you are now?
Absolutely. As an athlete, I always, we see the race in our mind 1,000 times before we actually do it. And that's kind of what happened with most of my, you know, most of my acting jobs. I can see it, in my mind a little bit before. And when I've had auditions and I don't really see it, I'll do my best in the audition, but I don't expect a callback or I don't expect anybody to hire me for it because it just doesn't seem or feel right.
Mhm.
But with, for example, with Vikings, I could just see it in my mind, and it's the same kind of manifesting or running the race in your mind before you do it. And I could feel myself holding that sword.
And that is what I'm manifesting. I'm manifesting that I'm going to go to the Superman premiere in the UK, and fingers crossed that will happen for me. I mean, was there
I
a
hope so.
specific time in your career so far that you've had that pinch me moment where you thought, do you know what? This is what I'm meant to do. This is the right choice for me.
Absolutely. I feel like every day on set almost is like that, and especially on Vikings and Wheel of Time, those really big shows that have these huge productions with amazing cast and crew and just everything, costumes and hair and makeup and stunts and everything. And I think every day on set, when I get to do that, is a pinch me moment for sure, because I don't feel like, apart from being a mom, I don't feel like there's any other place in the world where I always feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be, apart from when I'm acting.
But
So I think, yeah.
yeah, I've always said that the greatest role is being a mother. So do you know what I
That's
mean?
my
Forget
favorite.
Oscars. The greatest and the most difficult role at time. That's why I admire my wife so much, because she does such a good job. So let's talk about Vikings, because Vikings I have absolutely adored for so long. And when you think that it first came out on the History Channel, you would think, well, it's not going to be that great. You normally find like a big series like this being on a massive platform. And then you watch it and you think, my word, this show is just incredible, from the costumes to the way it's filmed to the cast, the writing. I mean, what was that like going on set for the first time, experiencing that world? Because it must have been incredible not only to step foot up, and then to be part of it.
It was amazing. Like I said, I had done it 1,000 times in my head before I even stepped on the set. So it felt almost natural to be there. As weird as it is to say that, but I think that stepping on, it was more grand than I had imagined, I guess. It was bigger, and the hallways were, I got lost in the building a couple of times. I was like, where am I? Wait, am I supposed to go left or right over here? I have no idea where I am. Where's the stage? Where's my trailer? Where's this and that? So yeah, having been a fan of the show before, it was, of course, a huge moment when I stepped onto the set for the first day of shooting. And it was stressful, but I was welcomed so beautifully by everyone. And the first scene that I shot was with Alexander Ludwig, and he was an amazing partner in that scene because he made me feel really comfortable and welcomed there, and as did all the other cast members, the crew, everyone. So it felt like being a part of a family right away. And I think that helped with the nerves a little bit, because it was nerve-wracking a little bit to come on this show that I had adored for so long. But you're absolutely right. Like everything about it, the writing and the whole production, the costumes, the makeup, the hair, the stunts, the cast, the crew, everyone. It's just it was a beautiful moment when I got there on the first day.
And I've got an image here of you that's coming on the screen. There you are in full glory. I mean, they do just an amazing job. Every little detail. Am I safe to say that there wasn't much green screen on set? Because from watching the show, I'm just thinking everything just looks real, and the work that's been done to create that world. I praise everyone involved.
I think the only time we had green screen was when we did a big scene on a boat where there was a lot of we had bad weather on the boat, and we were, rocking back and forth. And I think, everything is pretty much real over there. Like it was, they made up that world really beautifully. Like it was real.
I mean, you obviously play very strong female characters, which I love to see on screen, because having two girls myself, it's nice to see more strong female characters coming to light a lot more now, because it's something for them to look up to and aspire to. You have some amazing fight scenes and action in this show. So it's not like you're a damsel in distress. It's quite the opposite, which I love about Vikings, because, in them times, females weren't the doting sort of wives that just mingle around. They would get into it and actually get into the action. What was that like to film? And is there any moments that you can remember that really took you back a bit? Because the action scenes are incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing to be able to portray such a strong character. It came pretty easily. I feel like it's still kind of rooted in being Icelandic and the way that I'm raised here in Iceland. Icelandic people were isolated for so long, and I guess, everybody had to be strong to survive here. So I have a long line of great grandmothers and great 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 grandmothers that were strong women. So I come from a line of really strong women. It felt natural, kind of, to keep that going in the character. It was, it's one of those things where why not? Why aren't the women the strongest? There were moments that, I was on set, we were in the mud, it was raining, we were fighting, and it felt difficult. But I remember some of the stunt crew having this one line, "But you went to the Olympics, you got this." And I was like, okay, I can't show any weakness here, because in their eyes, I've already done this other athletic feat that not everybody gets a chance to do. And I thought, okay, I've been to the Olympics. There's no way I'm going to start complaining about slipping in the mud or being fully soaked in the rain trying to fight 5 guys or 10 guys. And usually on the day they would be like, "I know we rehearsed you killing these 7, but we're throwing another 7 in over here that you're going to kill, and just go." And it was kind of a crazy kind of stunt battle moment each day that we had a battle. So I just took it on the chin. I did it, and I did not complain, I think.
In a previous interview that you did that I watched, you mentioned something about being on a boat, and the stunt crews were saying that you couldn't stand there because it was too dangerous. And then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, she's an Olympic swimmer. It's not as if she's going to drown. Well, hopefully not. But, but I suppose they've got to look after the stars, haven't they? Because if anything happens to you, or it all ends. It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, your character on the show is incredible, and she has left a permanent mark. And she was based on a real person, in history. When you took the role, and you started to develop the character, did you do any research? Did you look into the real character? And did that help you get into the mindset of Gunhild?
Absolutely. I did know about her already. We do here in Iceland, we learn a lot about these sagas and these stories when we're in school. So I didn't
Oh,
have to
wow.
go too far back to start researching. And I've read most of the sagas. They are my favorite kind of literature. When I was in school, I just absolutely loved it. And yeah, it's based loosely on Gunhild, the Mother of Kings, I guess, but she was her own person, and there was not a lot of, you know, not too many things that I had to know about the actual character, right? The actual
Mm.
woman before stepping into Gunhild's boots, basically. So from school, from when I read these sagas and the books, I just, I went back to it. I had a little look at everything, and I thought, I think she's going to be her own woman, this character on Vikings, which she was. So, yeah.
I mean, no matter what shows like this do, you'll always get some of the fan base, picking things apart, saying this didn't happen, that didn't happen, as if they were there. And I just think it's comical because, do you know what? I wouldn't know. And I think they do an incredible job. But talking about school, my daughter, my 11-year-old, has been learning about Vikings, and I showed her a picture of you, and I said, I'm interviewing you, and the first thing she said was, "Wow, look at her hair." So now
Yeah.
I have now like literally got to try and get someone to do her hair like that. So, but she loves Vikings. She really, really does. But then
Amazing.
we leave your character at the end, and there is an incredible scene. And I don't know to ruin it for anyone that hasn't watched Vikings. I think if people haven't watched Vikings yet, then it's your own fault because it's a great show and you should have watched it by now. But you obviously go into the water and
I
you
do.
have that incredible, powerful scene. When you found out that that was the way that you were going to go, how did that make you feel? And what was that conversation like being told that?
It was surreal to think that I would need to swim until I couldn't anymore. And, you know, having been a swimmer for most of my life, I remember times when I was in the pool, I was, swimming, and I was like, I cannot swim anymore. I need to stop. But I always could swim more. So my first thought was, she's going to have to go really, really far because I can swim for a while. So the whole portraying, the exhaustion and the giving up moments, it took a while to find that within myself because I always feel like I can swim. If I have to run, there is a stop. I need to stop after a while because running is not my thing. But swimming, it feels like I can just go on forever. But it felt like a beautiful homage, I feel, to the character and incorporating my own kind of, thing into it, which was the swimming. Gunhild was actually in the water in quite a few scenes, and I absolutely loved it because I asked them for the biggest tattoo that they had ever given any character, and I was met with, are you sure it's going to take a while to put it on and take it on? I was like, give me the biggest
At
tattoo.
least it wasn't real.
And at least it
Yeah.
wasn't real. A lot of people think it is because it was very well done by the makeup department and Tom, who we designed this whole thing. It just looked so badass and so amazing. So Gunhild does swim a lot in a lot of scenes, and some days it was pretty cold, and it wasn't the easiest to jump into lakes and to the harbor in Wicklow, Ireland, for filming all these things. But I thought it was a great way to go for the character and for me to be able to, you know, dive into the water and leave the show like that.
And what a way to leave. And then we go on to the Wheel of Time, which I've got to say it's one of my favourite shows, and sadly, it's been cancelled. How dare they?
Yeah,
These
I know.
networks and studios haven't got a clue. You've got a great show. The fans are completely behind it, and then I mean, I don't know what the number is now, but it's probably over 1 million signatures now to try and get it, either picked up by another network. And I'm really surprised with Prime because they normally are very, very good with saving shows. But let's talk
Yeah.
about your kick-ass character on this show, which again, I've got a picture here of you, which I mean, this show again, I mean, you've gone from one show that production-wise was incredible to another one. I've never read the books. I've watched this show just with open eyes, and I've loved the story and I've loved everything in it. What has this been like to work on? Because it must have been incredible to join such an incredible cast and the amount of work that's gone into this. I mean, what were your favorite parts of playing this awesome character?
Oh, so many things. I mean, you see the costume and the hair and everything. That was really fun to step into because this is a whole different world. The fantasy of it, it's so fun. I absolutely loved that, this character is quite a lot like Gunhild, a
Mm.
fighter. She can, she's strong and she's opinionated and she can fight. But in this world, the Aiel, they don't have any water. So I don't get to swim or I don't get to go in any water because water is a very scarce thing for this group of people. So it was a lot of fun to get into different kinds of stunt work. They work with spears and bow and arrow, and it was a lot of really really difficult but really fun scenes to shoot. And yeah, and these two girls, the three Aiel, my two girls over there, Maya and Ayola, who play Avienda and Chiad, we just had the best time. We got to learn sign language that was specifically made for the Aiel, and we even were able to chat, you know, while waiting for the next setup or the shot, and other actors and other cast and crew members were like, no way you just said something, no way you guys are actually talking. And we were literally talking with our sign language. So yeah, it's an amazing show, and it's a real shame that it got canceled. I agree. I would have loved to kept it going and given the fans and the viewers a better resolution to the end, because we did not, season 3 didn't end with
Yeah.
any kind of
And this is, and this
any
and
kind
this
of
is the
end,
thing.
basically.
This is the thing. There's so many great shows out there, but I tend to not watch certain ones knowing that they've been cancelled, because why get invested and then be left on a
Exactly.
cliffhanger? And I feel that
Yeah,
the fans deserve like a closure to this
absolutely.
show. And
I
there's
agree.
lots of rumours on why it's been cancelled, but I just think it's incredible. It really, really is. Have you managed to keep anything from either Vikings or the Wheel of Time as a memento? Have you stolen anything, Ragga?
I've never stolen anything in my entire life, so that's the first reply to that question. I cannot. My mother raised me in a way that I can't even sample a grape from the grocery store,
Really?
which
Oh,
is
wow.
I have never been able to steal anything. I was given an arm ring on the set of Vikings. So yeah, no, I don't have anything from the set of Wheel of Time, except for my memories and photos. And I bring my cameras and I take all the photos and all the those kind of memories. So
Well, who
yeah,
knows? Because that's normally a good sign. When they don't like, give the cast certain things, they want to hold on to it just in case. So who knows? Who knows? I know the
who
fans are,
knows?
are
Let's
behind this
hope.
campaign to actually get this show reinstated. I'm manifesting it now. I think this show is going
Yeah,
to be saved because, the fans have spoken, and I think that, Amazon need to get behind it massively. So who
I agree.
knows? Who knows? I mean,
100%.
have you got a favorite day, a favorite memory of working on the Wheel of Time? Because the cast is phenomenal. One of my favorite is Show Ray, that's in the season that we've just seen, and she is an incredible actress. Have you got any like moments that you can share, behind the scenes of anything that's happened that will always stay with you?
Um, we had so much fun behind the scenes. I really loved when we had big group scenes, so we've got everybody there on the set. I think that from season 2 and season 3, the memories that stand out is us dancing in like behind like in our little green room or in our little tent that we got set up. Night shooting and trying to get through night shooting, and how would you do it? Let's have a little dance party, and we would have these little dance parties to try to wake up. um, there's so many moments during the filming that stand out. But yeah, it's fun when you see people falling asleep and you're like, okay, we got to stay up. How do we stay up? Everybody's covered in blood, everybody's like messy, and there's dirt everywhere, and we're just like, let's put on some music and let's shake it out. And I think those moments really stand out.
Awesome. Well, fingers crossed we see that show come back. And then you're heading to London in July
Yes.
to
Yeah.
the London Film and Comic Con at the Olympia.
I'm so excited.
What are you most excited about
I'm
coming to the capital?
I am so excited to see the fans. That's always my favorite thing to do when I come to these Comic Cons and conventions. It is so amazing to see people that still love the show years after we have finished, filming and even airing it. So that is my favorite part of coming to these.
I mean, have you had a moment with a fan that is unforgettable, that you were quite amazed at?
Um, I'm always amazed when fans know more than me about
Yeah.
my character or the show, or remember even more things. And people come up with words or phrases that I've said as Gunhild, and I think, wait, did I say that? Oh, right. And they just like, yeah, before you did this, and I'm just always amazed when the fans are super current with it. Oh, there's so many great fans out there. I think there's too many to recall, I think,
It's just
but
great
yeah,
to see how passionate they are, and a lot do bring
absolutely.
up that, and a lot of guests that have been in sci-fi shows, they're amazed as well, because they come to the table and
Yeah.
they talk so intensely about their characters. So anyone going, if they turn up in full Viking armor, do they get bonus points?
Absolutely, 100%. Especially if
Excellent.
they come dressed up as Gunhild.
There you go. There you go.
It's my
Anyone
favorite.
watching, go in. Man, woman, doesn't matter. Dress up as
Doesn't
Gunhild.
matter.
Get bonus
Put a little
points.
braid in your hair. And I
And do you
love it
feel?
when kids do too. So if your daughters are into Vikings, when the
Yeah.
children come in with the braids or with anything Viking related, that is my favorite, I have to
Ah,
say.
do you know what? My 7-year-old, she looks so cute in braids,
Mm.
but they don't like big crowds. It's really
Oh,
weird. They get a bit uncomfortable. I
yeah,
took my
I get
my
that.
daughter to one, and she didn't like it. She had to have ear defenders on,
Yeah.
and she's quite sensitive, bless her. But who knows when she
Yeah.
is older? But I cannot wait. I mean, with obviously the conventions, do you find it's mainly Vikings, or do you expect at this London Film and Comic Con there may be quite a few Wheel of Time photos being signed?
I hope so. I mean, usually it's been mostly Vikings fans, but there have been Wheel of Time fans coming more and more. So I am hoping that we'll see both in London.
Awesome. I cannot wait. I will drop by and say hello in person.
Amazing.
I'll be walking the floor, filming, interviewing people, getting it up to all sorts of mischief because I'm there for the whole weekend. But Ragga, thank you so much for coming onto the show. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to meeting you in person.
Thank you. Can't wait to see you too.